Going to start recording. All right, good evening, good morning from Brazil. It's a great pleasure to be here today with these guests, so special guests. So when we talk about the history of the communities that have in their trajectory the strong presence of German immigrants and their descendants, we must be very clear that this history is not something isolated, like an unknown island totally removed from some continent. More and more, it is seen that this story has a broader dimension with some important characteristics: complexity, specificity, and relational dimension. As small as many of these societies may be demographically and territorially, because they are human groups, we can witness, analyze, and reflect on the most different social, religious, cultural, educational mechanisms, among many other aspects. But just as each human being has characteristics that make it a unique being, each community also has distinct elements specific to its formation and structuring, impregnated by the actions of those social groups that comprise them. So as I told before, it's a great pleasure to be here today with our guests, our speakers, and our moderator, talking about the cultures around the world. I am sure that is going to be a great webinar full of new knowledge and with great insights. So at first, I would like to introduce our moderator of the session, Professor Dr. Luis Miguel Cardozo. He holds a PhD in modern languages and literatures in the specialty of comparative literature from the Faculty of Letters of the University of Coimbra. He was Dean of the School of Education and Social Sciences between 2010 and 2018, and Deputy Director of the Master in Media and Society. He was president of ARIPESI, Association of Reflection and Intervention in the Education Policy of Higher Education Schools in Portugal. Adjunct professor at the Department of Language and Communication Sciences at School of Education and Social Sciences and Polytechnic Institute of Porto Alegre, Portugal. He is a professor of higher education since 1995. He is a researcher at the Center for Comparative Studies at University of Lisbon. He was the coordinator of the Communication Bureau of Polytechnic Institute of Porto Alegre. His main areas of teaching and research are science of language and communication, pedagogical innovation, literacies, education, and literature and cinema, under which published articles, chapters of books, and made presentations in Portugal and in several places, including Brazil, Spain, France, United Kingdom, Italy, Greece, Hungary, Bulgaria. In 2016, he published the book Literature and Cinema, the Look of Genius. He is a member of several international organizations and associations, as well as a member of the editorial board of international journals in the domains of language and communication sciences, comparative literature, literature and cinema, literacies, and education. So it's with great pleasure that I give the floor to Professor Dr. Luis Miguel Cardozo. Thank you for being here.
Greetings, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, as we are all around the world today. So first of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee. I would like to thank my dear colleague and friend, Professor Beatrice, and of course, Professor Renata. Also, thank you so much for inviting me. It's a huge pleasure to be here. I will also like to thank our guests for this webinar. I'm sure it will be very enlightening about the topic that was chosen, and that is very rich and can give us a lot of different approaches and support different lines of thought about this topic, as I said before. So first of all, I would like to introduce the first speaker, Dr. Beatrice Bisotto from Brazil. I will summarize the data I have about all our participants, because all our participants are great professors and great researchers. So I will also like to say that I will only mention one of two topics that are most important to characterize our guests. So about Professor Beatrice Bisotto from Brazil. Professor Beatrice is a postdoctoral student at the University of Aveiro, Portugal, has a PhD in administration from the University of Caxias do Sul, master in business administration from the University of Caxias do Sul, specialization in controllership, University of Caxias do Sul, and graduated in accounting sciences. Judicial expert, she's teaching at the University Center, Unifac West, Lages, Brazil. Professor Beatrice, please come forward and share with us your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Can I share my screen? Is it visible?
Yes.
Yes, it is visible.
Yes, okay. Thank you. I would like to greet all my colleagues here in this session. It is very special for me because I'm going to talk a little bit about my country. So let's start talking about culture around the world. Let's see here, globalization. This square represents the world. Brazilian culture and diversity. Here you have, guys, some information about Brazil and its regions, okay? We have the area, population, our system of government, some regions, and in purple you can see the south region of Brazil. That is where I live. Brazil is one of the countries with the greatest foreign influence, since, in addition to the natives who already lived here, it received European colonizers as well as slaves and immigrants from several other countries. And of course, each of these people had their own customs and lifestyle. In other words, our country is a great example of cultural diversity. In Brazil, each region has its own cultural predominance, which ends up making certain characteristics more common in a geographical space, even though each part belongs to a larger group, which is the country. The origin of the Brazilian cultural formation is linked, above all, to the indigenous people, the enslaved Black people, and the European immigrants. The first immigrant was the Portuguese colonizer, and over the following centuries, other nationalities also stood out in Brazilian migration, such as Italians, Germans, Japanese, and Polish. From north to south, traditions, festivals, rituals, and food vary significantly. Cultural manifestations are also influenced by local characteristics, such as the climate, vegetation, and social and economic aspects. Between the regions of the country, there are quite significant differences in cultural formation, but even within a region or a state, it is possible to find a great diversity of traditions and cultural manifestations. The culture of the most varied groups in Brazil is an element of identification. It is what shapes individuals who think, feel, and act in their social circles. It is the cultural manifestations that provide identity and tell the story of a country, which why its preservation is very important. What is Brazilian cultural identity? Brazilian cultural identity is the set of cultural traits that define what it means to be Brazilian. In theory, Brazilians share certain cultural characteristics that make each of them feel part of the nation. This set of distinctive features is called Brazilianness. It is common, sorry, to identify ourselves or to be identified by foreigners as a happy, communicative, warm, and creative people. Certain cultural events, such as carnival or eating habits, such as eating rice and beans, seem to be part of this label of being Brazilian. Here I have some images of the North region culture. The North region is equivalent to almost 50% of the entire national territory. The north of Brazil has great treasures. The Amazon forest, the Amazon River are the main ones. While one is known for being the largest rainforest of the planet, the other is given the title of the longest river in the world. Given all this territorial extension, one would already imagine that the region is extremely rich by culture and diversity. All these elements contributed to make the North a mixture of people based mainly on indigenous people. Among the main cultural characteristics, we can highlight the festivals and their cuisine. There are festivals of Parintins in the states of Amazonas, and the Festa do Círio de Nazaré in Belém do Pará, a place here, are known all over the world and are always in evidence in this corner of the country. Still, the typical cuisine of this region is based on foods such as cassava, tucupi, jambu, carne de sol, pirarucu, and several other types of dishes, as you can see in the images. Now we are going to talk a little bit about the Northeast region culture. This region of Brazil has particularities that differentiate it from other regions. It has a mostly semi-arid climate in which the main characteristics are shallow and rocky soils, accentuated climatic seasonality, high transpiration rate, and variable relief. All northeastern states are bordered by the Atlantic Ocean. This characteristic, together with the hot climate, makes the region one of the main tourist destinations in the country. This region comprises about 60% on the country's coastal states and is strongly linked to historical facts. After all, it was there that the first Portuguese colonizers landed on Brazil land. Because of this, the northeastern states still retain a colonial style and attract millions of tourists every year. As well as the specialization of crafts made by lace, in addition to such as acarajé, vatapá, as you can see in the picture, caruru, and cornbread are very typical of the region. This region still preserves cultural events that date back to the Brazil colony, such as Afro-Brazilian regions, capoeira, that is a kind of a dance here, a kind of game, and June festivals. All right, here we are going to go to see the region Southeast here. This is the most important industrial, commercial, and financial region in our country. They employs 80% of the Brazilian workers and uses 85% of the total electricity consumed in Brazil. The relief is quite rugged with a predominance of plateaus. The climate is tropical, between temperate and hot, with great local variations. The economy of the Southeast region is driven by industrial and agricultural production and the trade and service sectors, especially tourism. The Southeast is the richest region in the country, concentrating 55.4% of the GDP in the Southeast region. The Brazilian Southeast is known for being one of the richest and most densely inhabited regions. The Southeast is made of a mixture of different groups, especially European, African, and indigenous peoples. And the Southeast is famous for its cuisine, music, dance, religion, and folk festivals, especially outside major urban centers. The culture of the center-west region of Brazil is quite diversified, receiving indigenous São Paulo, Minas Gerais, Rio Grande do Sul, Bolivian, and Paraguayan influences. The cuisine of the region is very diverse and has a strong influence of indigenous people, slaves, and various Europeans and Asian immigrants. The typical dishes that stand out are capixaba muqueca, as you can see in the picture, in the first one, cheese bread, tropeiro beans, as we can call here, pork, feijoada, the cold dumpling, virado a paulista, that is another food, couscous paulista, and farofa. As you can see here on the screen, we have all this. All right, then we go to Midwest region, formed by the states of Mato Grosso do Sul, Goiás, and the Federal District. The Midwest region is well remembered for its cultural manifestations, represented by the festivals, music, and also the crafts linked to the cultures of some indigenous peoples. The Festa do Divino and the Festa de São Benedito are two of the most famous festivals in the state of Mato Grosso and Mato Grosso do Sul, as well as chicken with pequi, that is a small fruit, the Paraguayan soup, we have guariroba and Bolivian rice, and some of the representative foods of the region. And finally, we are going to the southern region. It is where I live, particularly. Finally, the southern region of Brazil is marked by cultural events strongly linked to the European immigrants who settled in this corner of the country. This region was originally inhabited by Indians and later had the arrival of African slaves with the arrival of Portuguese and Spanish colonizers. The physical aspects, the South region is the coldest in Brazil with a subtropical climate. Its main plant formations are the Atlantic forests, the Araucaria forests, and the riparian forests. Its relief formations and plains, depressions with southern and Atlantic plateaus. The predominant climate is subtropical. It is characterized by having the seasons of the year well differentiated with a great variations in temperature. It is the coldest region in the country where during the winter, frost and even snow occur in some places. The southern region presents a cultural manifestation with many traditions that came from the Germans, Italians, Japanese, and other people of Central and Eastern Europe. The colder temperature favored the establishment of these groups in the country. For this reason, the region has an architecture similar to the European countries. In the end, just to reflect a little, we have religious diversity. Also represents the religion freedom of individuals and appreciation of all religious manifestations. It explains that there is not a single religion that is true and that stands above the others. Just as there are different places and cultures, there are different religions and beliefs. The term respect for religions diversity even emerged as a way to stop the actions of intolerance between different religions groups. So this was my presentation. I hope you have liked. It was a pleasure to share a little bit about Brazil here. I hope you can be hungry with our food because it's delicious.
Yes, it's mouth-watering.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Beatrice, for this excellent presentation. Of course, I'm not the most objective person in the world to talk about Brazil, because I love Brazil. I've been twice to Brazil, and I honestly I'm counting the days and the months so that I can return to Brazil, because Brazil is a magnificent country. Thank you so much about your highlights. I would like to formalize this. So Brazil is an excellent example of how diversity can mix together, can make a melting pot of several influences, cultural influences from different countries, different languages, and different points from different sides of the world that can be combined. And that is why the Brazilian culture is so rich, so plural, and most of all, it is regarded as an example of respect and tolerance about diversity, in not only in cultural approaches but also in religious approaches. And of course, thank you so much for giving us so many reasons for our appetite for our lunch. So I hope we can meet very soon in Brazil in order to taste the flavor of all the specialities that you have mentioned. So thank you so much, Professor Beatrice, for giving us a marvelous example of cultural diversity. And now I would like to introduce our second speaker, Dr. Chai Chin Tan from Thailand. Dr. Chai Chin Tan has a huge curriculum. So please forgive me for not talking about all the aspects that characterize Dr. Tan activities. I would like to highlight that Dr. Chai Chin Tan is a senior faculty of management at Rajamangal University of Technology, Ratanakos in Thailand. Dr. Tan is a professional engineer, a researcher, an excellent researcher, and a member of several editorial boards. Dr. Chai Chin Tan, it's a huge pleasure to have you here with us in this webinar. So please come forward and share with us your presentation.
Thank you, professors, and thank you for inviting me. And let me host disabled participants to share. So maybe the host has to allow me to share. Yep, they're not able to share. The host has to allow me to share.
Professor Beatrice, Professor Renata, please allow Professor Tan to share his presentation.
Okay. Okay, just a second, sorry. Yes. No? Is it okay?
Yeah, it's okay now. Okay, well, thank you very much once again for inviting me. And in fact, I do not know exactly what to share, but I'm starting to realize that we probably are sharing cultures across the world, and I can actually share the cultures that I have I have already prepared the slide, so might as well share with you. So let me share with you a part of the world which may not have representations in this webinars, and probably it's good to share with you because this is also part of my research. And there are two parts in China, but I would focus today on Guizhou because most of you already know about China's, but I think there is this minority area, which is there are a lot of ethnicities in this Guizhou area, and so this Guizhou area, because of the ethnicities, you would see a lot of the ethnicity-driven types of tourism, and it's one of the very unrecognized to most of the Western world, and but it has a lot of the heritages and cultural heritages, and so this is Guizhou, and you see that it has a lot of beauties, ecological beauties, mountains and rivers, and minorities mostly are they are very strongly adhering to their cultural heritages. So these are kind of the costumes that you will be able to see when you go to that particular area. And again, China is very huge, so I just recognize to introduce you as something that you hardly see. Just like Xinjiang, okay. Next time we probably can look into that. So ecological. This is a research that I do, and the titles of this research actually that I would like to. These are the ladies' costumes, and this is what they wear, and the things that I would like to do. The research that I do was that I was looking into Guizhou's rural tourism destination loyalty. Okay, but since we have this opportunity, I would share this cultural issue. And there is also another cultural issue in the community culture in Thailand. Similar to Guizhou, they have their own cultural community cultures, the community's culture. So three destinations, most of the destinations are very much similar because they have there are all minorities and ethnicities, and governments provided a lot of huge investments and monies to ensure that all these cultures are preserved. So if you go to China and you see that many of the minorities' culture, including Xinjiang's culture, actually China governments are investing a lot of monies because they need to reduce the poverty, and so they need to ensure that all these villages and all these minorities and ethnicities are capable of ensuring their livelihood, meaning they're able to live a life in a way that do not go below the poverty area line. And so, for example, Guizhou is a very important heritage areas and also natural areas, and so the government spent a lot of monies to help to make sure that all these infrastructures are accessible in terms of these cultural tourisms and heritage tourisms or ecological tourisms. You can do all this natural tourism. So my intention was really because of this unique culturals and tourism heritages, and I would like to know, and no one else really have done something about it, and especially about how tourists are perceiving the tourism perspective in this rural tourism area. And so I was very interested in exploring what happened to this area. And because of limitation, because you have to understand the tourism research is quite unique from other types of research, because tourism it's very special to certain areas. So unless you attune your understanding to that particular area, it is almost impossible. that you can identify the factors that rightly fitting into this particular geographical area. So to do that, I have to go into this platform, e-commerce, the e-electronic tourism's applications app platform, and where you can see a lot of commands, traces of commands left behind by these tourists from USA, from Singapore, from elsewhere, from overseas to China, to Guizhou, China, and they provide some explanation, some commands traces. So that is very important for me to understand Guizhou. Because elsewhere it is very difficult to understand. There's no meaning to understand theoretical part without understanding the practical tourism feature. So I went into this application, this app, and I studied this whatever commands that they left behind. For instances, a beautiful town with unique architectures. Visiting the terraces, those farming places, and it's a must. And so there is some kind of recommendation. Walking out with to really experience it, and you can see the tourist experiences or attraction, and some of the factors that that peoples are putting on the commands. And being a heritages and ethnicity, you can also see that most of the ethnicities in China, they do maintain their traditional architectures, and so you can see that almost everyone's are staying there, and they do not want to move. There are certain places which I will introduce to you that they are too crowded, and the China's are investing the money for them to migrate to another place. Similar to another places in Guizhou, but because these are too crowded, but when you move to another places, the government has also need to spend money, beautify the places, and request them, what do you want apart from farming? If they say tourism, specific tourism, then the government will ensure providing some tourism infrastructure. And so these are the some of these commands again. I just go through very quickly so you get some sense so that I can quickly go into different thematic area. So it is not only known as the first villages of township. So it is also the town of the drum towers and so on and so forth, and surrounded by mountains and two river streams merge into a small rivers through the villages, and houses are blah 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 and things like that. So you can see some identity, unique identity and sustainability of this tourists. So they do maintain some identity, and they do maintain. They do make an effort to maintain sustainability, because if they destroy the social cultural identities and they destroys the attraction for this, so you can again the satisfaction issue still. A very distinctive cottage is not completely commercialized, and it still maintains some native perspective, and the overall environment is good. So you can see some interesting factors coming up. Rural interaction is very important. So, these minorities are mostly Miao village. So it is one of these in China, in Thailand. We also have most of the people who live in the communities in Thailand also are migrated from China a long time ago, and they also many from the Miao villages as well. So there are a lot of indigenous people who really share the joy of your life with the tourists. So some tourists, rural interaction and satisfaction, comfortable, and it's not noisy. So you can kind of feel the environments of cultures that minorities, ethnicities can provide to us, and you can also learn the beauties and not only some sort of behavioral experiences, but also the emotional part, and also some of these food and beverages and hotels and accommodation that they provide to use, amenity services and the conveniences and things like that. And some of the teachers, some of these tourists are so focused that they really they really just pay immerse into that environment and pay full attention to the experiences. So you can see that there are some kind of when you go, when outside people like you and me, tourists go there and we haven't experienced a very different kind of China's, and suddenly we have this minority. So we tend to flow, to flow with his environment and with the touristic experience, and that is a very important tourist theme, terms in influencing the tourist behavior, and that is what they also can draw your attention. So amenities, services, things like that, and this one was I actually also have a lot of interviews online with some of the government officers in Chinese, of course. And this is different from this area because these areas are already already occupied since a very, very long time. But because it's too crowded, many of the places, many of the people also move into a new place called this area, Liupan Sui. And so they are not very much indigenous in that particular area. They do have, but they also move from other places. So and China's government spent a lot of money helping them. And because the places are so huge, the places continues to get diversified in investment. So, but again, you can see still indigenous cultural heritages from Europe. If you go there, there are a lot of maybe Spanish or whatever. I forgot, is it Spanish or Netherlands buildings here around, located near the valleys of the mountains. And if you go there, there are still a lot of those cultures in Guizhou's area. And the plants are very huge, and there are very much ecological investments over there. Governments are noting that to be able to access the place, you must have infrastructural logistics and things like that. So you can see that they are spending a lot of times, building all these infrastructures across all the mountains for the tourists and for they themselves and for the locals to have these touristic experiences. And again, of course, apart from these Westerns, cultural architectures, they also maintain a lot of Chinese temples, and majorities, of course, are located slowly. It will become very, very crowded. Things like that. There are a lot because of the wonders, mountains, and so they do have more innovative ideas on some adventurous perspective of the tourism, and they're also building a glass bridge. So it is a glass bridge. You can cross it along the side and beside the car coming on the middles, and so it is quite beautiful. And again, there are some old villages from long ago, and there are because the places are very huge, they continues to spend both investment, a lot of investments from the commercial side and the private government supporting things like that, and a lot of hot spring and things like that. So these are and again, you can see you can click into any of these adventurous or cultural heritages area, and again you can see similar types of identities, sustainability, social cultural issue. It is called a local city because it floats like a lotus leaf on the water surface. Ancient talk is built around the themes of cultures and landscape and focusing on the function of the city and protecting the characters of ancient town. And you can see a lot of themes coming into the pictures: tourist experience, attractions, amenities, services, and in a hot spring you can see that amenities, services, or hot spring attraction, tourist experiences, different types of it. And this is a different one. So I spotted 3 minority area called Miao minorities area, and this is another one. And again, it's similar types of themes that you can identify from the app, things like that. So in conclusion, based on this app application and commands traces of the customers, I basically take note. There are costs, a lot of things, but because of the time constraint, I take note that there are 2 important dimensions of tourist factors that influence the tourists from these minority cultural area. One of them is the destination control factors, and two of them are on the y-axis. The destination theme, which you have just seen and I have just explained to your attractions and the destination identities. And again, on the bottom, you can see the amenity services, the emperor perspective, again from the destination dimension, and the rural interactions between it. And rural interaction is very important if you want to experience the culture with the minorities. And especially you have to spend a couple of days. And in my research, I found that if the tourists who spend 3-4 days get a better loyalties and experiences than those tourists who spend only 1 day. So it is actually quite important. There are a lot of things that we can identify and slowly figure it out. What research we can further do in things like that. And culture itself is a huge area, because the culture has also the assumption, which next time, if I have opportunity, I can share with you cultural assumptions and these artifacts that really drive sustainability in Thailand, which is a very important communities. And it's a place where I live. And the second on a horizontal axis is this tourist perspective. So you can see that on the tourist perspective experience on one side, a different type of experiences, you can use all your 5 sensors. You can use your 5 senses, and you can use your cognitive senses with the culture. You can see emotion. You can see the emotional senses are playing. Emotional experiences are coming into the picture, and experience value are also very, very valued coming from the experience. And again, the governments, whether the government or public, they do promote marketing promotion, and so promote the images that projected by the marketing and the social media. When the tourists go there, do they experience the similar types of images, organic wise, that really match with the induced image from the marketing materials and the social media materials, like what I have just explained? It's part of the induced image that tourists read before they go there, and after they go there, they organically experience it, and do they match with each other? And that is, again, it's something that I think it's one of the very important promotional area that need to focus. And personality matching, not many people are really liking to go to experience community cultures like the minorities. Most people are preferring the cities, and so there are certain types of personality matching that are very important. So because once I understand it, then I can immediately go further based on what I have experienced so far, that there are certain authenticities, values in projection images, and certain flow experience, which I have experienced, I just explained it to you, that you feel, being flow with this environment, and sustainability abilities of the villagers, perceptions wise, and how you attach to that as a result. And that becomes very important to influence how a tourist will continue to say good things about the places, and also demonstrating the satisfaction state of these tourists. So again, this is basically a flow of I have explained to you how tourists from another country go into another part of the country to experience culture, and from a tourist perspective. And then from there, what happened is that I basically take the samples, question A, and sample size 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. And I try to identify which of the sample size should I use. And I figured it out. I used 500 sample size because this is interesting. This is not engineering issue. It is a social issue. And so the more sample I take, and the sample size getting bigger, the reliability and the ability to explain the narrow variations becomes crossing the threshold that is not good for validity assessment, model assessments, partly because the population is too wide. once I confirm everything is okay in terms of the reliabilities or assess or the quality wise of the people of these variables, then I go to neural network simulation. Part of the neural network simulation is I want to demonstrate to our colleagues like you and myself and is that neural network is not only used for engineering. We can actually use it to help us understand social environment, social management issues. So I use the neural network, and I have 500. So I take 345 for training the neural network, which is artificial intelligence, and then I have 155 for testing my simulated conclusion. So I try to use all the variables, which is 15 of them, to predict which ones are very important to influence tourist loyalty. And so these are my inputs, and this is my simulations, neural network simulation. You can see a lot of neurons and neurons routes are being stimulated to influence to predict the final customers' loyalty. And you can see the predictions are pretty okay, and it tells me that tourist satisfaction is probably one of the most important, and then followed by the attachments, and followed by intellectual some of the intellectual experiences and sensory experiences, and also the induced organic value images and sustainability, which are in the middle. And if I use the neural network to go into computers, mathematical tasks, optimizations, the mathematics, I would be able to help me, identify based on one of the, 3 destinations that we go, which one ranked number 1, and which one ranked number 2, which one ranked number 3, and how far did they go? And so you can see, you can use neural network to help you do some ranking of the destination mathematically, or you can use it to predict these structural equations modeling to find out the path coefficient, which is, and I can also see that as the sample size goes up from 300 to 600, how did each of these path coefficients stabilize? And you can see that as the sample size from 300, 400, 500, 600 goes up, different images, different variables, go through different trends. So, it really has something that we have to bear in mind. Most of the researchers stick with one of the sample size, and we think that it is all right. But when you go into big sample size variation, you can see that actually there is a going down, going up, and stabilized trend. And so something that we have to be very careful, and things like that. And you can see that these tourist loyalties are, when the sensory experience goes up, the tourist loyalty goes up, and the images matching goes up. And the tourist goes up, and you can do a lot of things. I'm not going to. You can also trying to understand the differences. When people spending 4 days, 3 days or more, as I say, the more they feel better, and this is very interesting. It's significant differences. So again, this is so again. From this tourist perspective, we can find couple of things, and one of them is that the tourists who spend longer time to experience cultures of a country. I think one of the things is that we really have to spend more time to understand a culture of a country, or to understand the cultures of a community, and to appreciate it. One thing is clear from this sample: you have to spend more time. The more time we spend, the more we feel emotionally, and then the more we talk to them, the more we form engagements cognitively. And the more we do that, the more we would go there and behaviorally engage with each other and experience more things. And then the formation starts to form. So I did similar thing to another village, another place in China, but in food. In food tourism, and next time if I have opportunity, I will share with you the cultural food in China. tourism. And another one is, of course, is how a cultural community cultures influence the way they manage their communities and farmings and tourism. So sorry for not knowing what to share, and so I shared this cultural issue, and I hope that you like it. And next time we can I will try all my best to share with you more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tan, for your excellent presentation. Not just about cultural and diversity, but also about tourism and excellent research and very interesting results that you share with us about heritage and history and experiences. Experiences in tourism are so important nowadays, because we as tourists, we as travelers, choose our destinations according to so many different interests and several interests. And of course, we are always looking for new experiences, emotion experiences, and sensory cognitive experiences. So this is why tourism research about tourism is so important nowadays for all our countries. So thank you so much, Dr. Tan, for sharing your excellent research and your magnificent ideas about culture, diversity, and tourism. So we now go ahead to our next guest, Mr. Haridas Mukherjee. That he is a well-known educationist and presently working in a government college in West Bengal. Mr. Mukherjee worked in India and abroad since 1994 as an academic coordinator, curriculum designer, mentor, and teacher for CBSE, IG, CSE, and IB curriculum. And Mr. Mukherjee holds various master's and bachelor's degrees, along with certificate and diploma courses from India and abroad in his career. And these, of course, are only some of our most important details of Mr. Mukherjee's curriculum. So, sir, welcome to this webinar, and please feel free to share your thoughts and ideas about the topic of this webinar. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Very good morning and good evening to the audience, as well as the speakers and moderators from the different part of the world. It's my great pleasure that you have given me the chance to appear before you. Thank you. And thanks a lot to Dr. Beatrice, Madam, and what do you call, thank you so much, Louise, sir. So may I share the screen, please? I want to share my presentation so that as because I am from India, obviously I will focus, though I have traveled a lot along with the India and other subcontinents, means here near about other countries, Southeast Asia part, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Malaysia, Laos, and Myanmar, and Maldives, and also Gulf, means the Middle East. I have worked in Qatar, in Oman, and Dubai, and so I have traveled a lot. Basically I will focus on Indian, what you call, the cultural tradition and his heritage. And so can you please give me the chance to share my screen, please?
I think you can share, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is it okay?
Yes, it is okay.
Okay, so as because today's webinar is cultural around the world, I'm lucky enough that Beatrice ma'am has given me the chance. Okay, thank you so much. And now I want to say, what do you call, I want to express the what do you call speech I have written in a very short form, that Indian culture is the heritage of social norms, ethical values, traditional customs, belief systems, political systems, artifacts, and the technologies that originated in or either associated with ethno-linguistically diverse Indian subcontinent. Actually, really, it's a India by immigration, by colonization, and or influence, you can say, or particularly in South Asia part or South Asia part, I have seen lots of immigration happened. So it was a culture of sharing and knowledge and experiences, as well as the what do you call, the traditional culture they have shared. So that's why the India's languages and the religions and the dance, music, architecture, food, and customs differ from place to place within the country, because South India part is a little bit of different from the eastern part of our India. Okay, and the eastern part also sometimes differ from the western part. And I can say the next part, that Indian culture often labeled as a combination of several cultures and has been influenced by a history that is several millennia old, beginning with the Indus Valley civilization and other early cultural areas. Many elements of Indian culture, such as Indian religions, mathematics, zero has been discovered, and the negative marks also. So mathematics, philosophy, and cuisine all over the world, I have seen the Indian cuisine are too much what do you call, accepted. And the language, the maximum languages, though Hindi is the national language, English also the official language, but apart from that, major languages, 8 other regional languages are there, everyday spoken languages. And apart from that, some tribal languages or what do you call, colonization related languages, like 400 languages are there. And not only that languages, but also the architecture, dance, music, festivals, everyday festivals, 365 days in India, there are many parts, obviously some festivals are going on. And travel and tourism, clothing, and the movies have had a profound impact across the Indosphere, Greater India, and the world. Specifically, Southeast Asian and the Himalayan influences on early India had lasting impacts on the formation of Hinduism and the Indian mythology. And the next part is, I can say that India is often referred to as subcontinent of Southern Asia part, owing to its distinct and vast landmass. Surrounded by the sea on 3 sides, the majestic Himalayas separates it from the rest of mainland Asia, specifically the Russia and the China and Tibet part. And India is also famous for its ancient history, varied landscape, and diverse culture. Mark Twain, a celebrated American author, once said, India is the cradle of the human race, the birthplace of human speech, the mother of history, the grandmother of legend, and the great grandmother of tradition. And basically, in India nowadays, it has 29 states with different culture, and other 8 territories are there, which is controlled by the which is called Union Territory, controlled by the central government. So India has 29 states and different culture and civilization, and one of the most populated countries in the world. It is, I think so. The Indian culture, often labeled and as an amalgamation of several various cultures, span across the Indian subcontinent and has been influenced and shaped by a history that is several thousands years old. And you can say that over the centuries, there has been a significant fusion of cultures between Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims, Jains, Sikhs, and various tribal populations. Hindus is near about, I think, are 80%, and 14% are the Muslims, and rest others are Jain, Sikhs, and Buddhists. India is the birthplace of Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, and other religions, and they are collectively known as the Indian religions, basically. And the tradition part, you can say that traditions and customs, which is called, we say, Atithi Devo Bhava. in India, it means the guest is the equivalent to God. So we always welcome all the travelers, tourists to visit India. It is a Sanskrit verse taken from the Hindu scriptures, which later became a part of code of conduct for Hindu society, since the guest has always been of supreme importance in the culture of India. It is our first and foremost rules, you can say. And the next is, I can say, just I already mentioned that we have near about 28 states and 7 territories and 23 official languages. So 59% of India residents speaks something other than Hindi. Though Hindi are the national languages, like, and also some other languages like Bengali, my mother language, Telugu, the southernmost, and Marathi for the Mumbai, Tamil Nadu, the southern part, and Urdu means the what do you call Arabic world, already some that is a migration and colonization, that all other languages are used. And religion, you can say India is identified as the birthplace of Hinduism and Buddhism, the third and fourth largest religion. About 84% populations are Hindu and 13% or 14% like Muslims, and rest of others are Christians, Sikhs, and Buddhism and Jainism. And the next, you will be yes, it was mouth-watering when Beatrice ma'am was showing the delicious dishes, the pictures. Yes, when you will travel also India, you will experience the famous cuisines. Yes, I'm confident enough that throughout the world you will find one Indian cuisine at least in any country. So Indian cuisine is extremely famous throughout the world, and basically they are using too much spices, chilies, gingers, cardamom, etc. And Indian food and cuisines not only form an integral part of the culture of India, but are also one of the critical factors of Indian popularity worldwide. You can see the Indian cuisine in Portugal, in Lisbon, in London, in US, UK, New Zealand, Canada, wherever you travel, Thailand, Vietnam, Bangkok, wherever. And so just like dance and the religious practices, languages, and clothes, you will also find a wide variety of food throughout the country. Almost every region is known for a signature dish, like South Indian dish, dosa and idli, if you search on net, and site like Bengali, the rasgulla and the basmati rice, all these are from Bengal parts, and the fish. Okay, so they have some signature dish also. And architecture, yes, the most well-known example of Indian architecture is the Taj Mahal, built by Mughal Emperor. You have, I think, observed and seen. And they have also the most beautiful ancient temples. There are lots of, and most temples are located along magnetic wave lines of the earth, which helps in maximizing the available possible positive energy that I actually observed. And not only that, but also the worship, when the people are coming to the temple, they are removing their shoes outside the temple. That is also another culture. That is also what do you call? They are maintaining that rules. And next, most important, whole world, what do you call, the fan of Indian dance, art and culture. Indian dance, music and theater tradition spans back more than 2000 years ago, and the major classical dances traditions are Bharatanatyam, Kathak, Odissi, Manipuri, Kuchipudi. All other dances is actually famous for various locations or various parts of India, so the name came from like that. And Odissi means from Odisha, Manipuri means from Manipur, the another state. So India is a land of unity in diversity, and our dances are no different. Different forms are there that they are representing in a different way, but the main meaning is same for each and every dance. And apart from that, also they follows the mythological what do you call, and literature themes. Next, I will mention the clothes. Yes, Indian clothes are famous also, the colorful silk sarees and cotton sarees owned by the many Indian women. and men are using basically dhoti, means it's a unstitched piece of cloth, white color, and that is tied around the waist and the legs. And men also wear the kurta and loose shirts. And also another occasion, men wears the sherwani and ashkan, which is also a long coat type, that which is called sometimes it is sherwani or Punjabi. And another thing is I will mention that festivals and structures, family structures, sorry, festivals and celebrations. Yes, you can say India celebrates festival almost every day of the year in various parts, mainly because of the prevalence of diverse religions and groups. The Muslim celebrates Eid, the Christians have Christmas, Good Friday, the Sikhs have the Baisakhi, and the birthdays of the and Guru Nanak, and the Hindus have the Diwali, Holi, Makar Sankranti, Durga Puja festival, and lots of other Hindu Puja festivals are there. And Buddhist celebrates the Buddha Purnima, and also another so many tribal festivals are there, which is different from each and every part of India, which cannot be what you call displayed within a few minutes, because it's a very big country, and 36 states near about, so, and 450 languages and 1100 what do you call, the major tribals and main popular populations are there. So you can say it's a big diversity. And that another most important Indian culture is the family structure, the joint family structure. For generations, India has a prevailing tradition of the joint family system. It is when extended members of a family, parents, children, spouse, and their offsprings live together. What is happening actually reportedly helps in handling the pressure and stress, the mostly because of the cohesive nature of the Indian society. Another thing, the joint family, the expenditure of the total house can be shared by all other family members, those are earning. So it will not be a burden for one member. It's another also a big positivity. Next is another specific culture you can I can mention, that eating with the hands. So I have seen when I've traveled to Thailand and other Southeast Asia part, they are using chopsticks, and some I have seen the knife and forks. But eating with the hands, you may see the basically it's a culture of India. Though it has some many benefits, this practice makes the eating process very hygienic. Eating with hands is a widespread practice in South and East India part. But it's a bit rare in North and Western part. Sometimes they are using spoons. There is another positive science also there. If the food is too much hot, when you are touching through the hand, you can observe, and then you can put into your mouth. So you will not be what you call wounded, or there will not be any problem for you. So that is also another best point for eating with the hands. And next part, I will mention that lots of peoples they have there are different types of profession. Even some peoples are collecting the snakes from the forest, and they are carrying it and bringing to the society, and they are showing some games. And not only that, but also, if in India, if you travel to the western part, in Rajasthan part, there you will see the scarcity of water. So maybe one or twice the water points are there around the 7 villages. So all the villagers are actually goes to the water point and to collect the water. Maybe it's a well, or maybe it's a pond, or whatever it may be. And you can see another most important point for Indian culture, that is the marriage system. They are celebrating in a different way. So it's not like modern Western culture. You may see just like for the Christianism, the different marriage system. But for Hindu all Hindu, they are celebrating marriage in a different way. Maybe you have seen in many movies, Indian movies. And obviously another I will mention that the sound system, or you can say the music, the form of music, they use different type of flutes, they use different type of musical instruments, and all are from thousands of years before they have already invented. So all these type of different type of cultures you can see throughout the India. And last but not least, I will say here is another part of Indian culture, that touching elders' feet. The youngers will touch the elders, and what elders will do, elders will give the blessings, and each and every moment, the last, what do you call, at the time of goodbye or at the time of leaving the house, they will do this, which is called pranam, and they will take the blessings from the elders. That is the Indian tradition and culture. And obviously Indians will do the namaste. So I am also doing my namaste to finish my presentation. So thank you for watching my and listening my presentation. Thank you so much. It's a great pleasure, and hope you have enjoyed it. But it's a very short period to describe a huge, what do you call, largest democratic country, and 150, near about 145 crores of means what do you call, population nowadays. So there should be another session. I will request Miss Dr. Beatrice ma'am to what do you call, give me another chance in a different way or different talk show. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for your marvelous presentation about the Indian tradition and heritage and values and religion and the combination of different and several cultures and languages. And of course, not forgetting the marvelous Indian cuisine that I love. And I also think that you had an excellent phrase to summarize all that India is, has, and will continue to have. That is unity in diversity. So thank you so much, sir, for sharing all of these marvelous information about your great country. And I truly hope that Professor Beatrice can invite you again and share for sharing other information, and go ahead.
Yes, it will be my honor.
Yes, the honor will be ours, sir, because I'm sure we are all delighted, and we all want to visit India as soon as possible in the next years to come. So thank you, sir, for your presentation. Thank you so much. And now we are moving on, and now we are going from India to Iran. And I would like to introduce Dr. Hossein Omidi. And Dr. Hossein Omidi, BA, MA, PhD, English language and literature, educational planning expert in the Ministry of Education, Iran, university professor, BA, BS, MA, PhD level, and so many other information that I could share. But I honestly would like to give this extra time to Dr. Hossein Omidi. So welcome, sir, and please feel free to share a presentation.
Okay, in the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I'd like to thank the organizers and the moderator for inviting me. And it's a great honor for me to be among the people who are representing lovely cultures over the world: Portugal, Pakistan, Brazil, India, because I lived a few years in India, and I love BHU and Varanasi. I learned many things about your beautiful culture, dancing, and the my other friend from Thailand. We had wonderful friends from Thailand, and I thank them for being my friends. So anyway, because of some, let's say, I want to be honest with you, I had many official meetings from morning till now, and I was really worried about not participating in this webinar today, as I informed Dr. Beatrice, but anyway, my friends helped me, gave me a place to be able to, let's say, to deliver my presentation in general. As a matter of fact, I love to hear about other cultures in general. It's so sweet to listen to the others who are talking about dancing, music, culture, religions, populations, mountains, rivers, beautiful girls, and lovely, handsome gentlemen. But whatever is really concerning me nowadays, which is somehow obvious in my speech and my face, is the situation the world is in. Yeah, I'm telling you that Iran is so ancient, 8,000 years of history. Persia is famous, many people know about it. Whenever you talk about cultures, you say Greeks, Iranians, Persians, Romans, Iranians, Persians, Madakto, Elam, Achaemenid, Parthians, Sassanid, and you move on towards the Islamic, let's say, invasion, which was a beautiful part of the, let's say, history to the Iranians, because you may not, let's say, believe that we are very happy somehow that Islam came to us. Why? Because the Iranians, the ancient Iranians, which were among the largest, maybe the most, let's say, powerful empire at that time, 36,000 million, 36 million, let's say, kilometers squares. And I know you're familiar with great Darius, let's say Cyrus the Great, and the Iranian culture, which is somehow close to what we have now in India, Pakistan. And the reason is clear, because the Iranians and this lovely, huge civilization covered from, let's say, China to the Mediterranean Sea. So it means that this culture shares a lot of things with those cultures that we know now, or countries that we know now. If we talk about Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Turkey, Lebanon, Syria, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, all these places, even India, Pakistan, they share something with the Iranians. To be honest, one of the things that we share with you, gentlemen, before Islam, is the caste system. We had those castes, yeah. And one of the reasons that Islam came into us, and we were, let's say, somehow we converted to Islam, was the justice system. The simplicity of Prophet Muhammad at that time, the simplicity and the justice, let's say social justice in the Islamic empire at that time, before invading the Iranians, had a great impact on the people, normal people, ordinary peoples. So that's why 1400 years ago, the Iranians, they did not stop the Muslims. I don't want to use the word Arabs, because Islam is a universal religion, like the Christianity, like other religions. We are talking about human beings. We're not talking about black, white, low, I don't know, short or tall. No. We are talking about, we're not talking about nations. We're talking about universal, let's say, beliefs. So to worship something, to worship Almighty God is something which concerns everybody. It's a start from the ancient to the future. So anyway, then 1400 years ago, the Muslims came to us. The Iranians saw the difference, and they accepted the Islamic culture and mixed it, combined it with the Iranian culture. day by day, century by century, we had some invasions. One of the things that you may not know, but I can claim about the Iranian culture, the Iranians never attacked any nation 200 years ago. This is the real Iranian culture. Anyway, some other dynasties, let's say, were established in Iran, and they moved towards Safavid. And from that Safavid, you know that the Islamic culture, we have two major, let's say, segments or elements or parts, Sunni Islam and Shia Islam. And from 300-400 years ago, after the Safavid dynasty, the Iranian became Shia Muslims. And if you ask me what is the difference between these two cultures and these two sects in Islam, I can tell you that after the demise of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and peace be upon all good people, and you too, you're included, you know, the Shia Muslims believe that his son-in-law, Imam Ali, the first Imam of the Muslim, let's say, society, is the legitimate successor, and he must be elected as the Caliph, first Caliph. But our Sunni brothers, they don't believe in that. They see it totally different. There was a political system, and they follow that. So from that time, the Muslims in general, the culture, there was a kind of diversion. The Shias deviated from the, let's say, rooted from the Islamic culture, and we had again the Sunni brothers, which were brothers in general. Anyway, so I told you all these things. There was a reason behind it, because I did not want to talk about what was Iran or what is Iran, because my friends helped me a lot. Whatever we know about India, it's the same with Iran. Because when we talk about Iran, we are not talking about 1,648,000, let's say, kilometers square. No, we talk about a huge civilization. After the First and Second World War, the world changed. The new world, let's say, produced some countries, UAE, Qatar, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, and even in Europe, we had that happened. So my concern is now, because I'm living in a critical, not as an Iranian I'm talking, I'm representing myself first, and second, my culture. We are living in a critical situation now. I want to share with you my personal experience. I was born in Baghdad in 1977 from a Kurdish family. And after 3 years, when the revolution took place in Iran in 1978, I was 1 year old. Something happened. Then the Iranians were expelled from Iraq. 300,000 people were expelled. We came back to Iran. In 1980, the war started. When the war started, and it took 8 years to, let's say, to have a kind of a peace treaty, hundreds of thousands of people were killed. And what is somehow, I don't want to say, to use a bad word, what the question to me is, those countries who believe in cultures and talk about modern life and, let's say, modernism and postmodernism and civilization, and claim that they are number one in the world now, they put a huge sanction on the mother of culture, the cradle of culture. So the Iranian nation was affected, was influenced by that. So anyway, I was among them, and millions of people in the region, we are suffering from that. So how can we, it's a question to everybody, even to myself, how can we talk about culture, talk about music, when we cannot solve these questions? I want to tell you, gentlemen, ladies, please, the Iranian nation does not deserve to be under severe sanctions. From 43 years ago, because we have chosen our own way of living, because we are independent, we were independent, we are a lovely civilization. We decided to be ourselves, to choose our own way of life, to be independent. From that time, we are suffering. And because I was talking in another meeting, some people were talking about documents, which were all based on, let's say, I don't want to say some part of the world was dominated, but the source was from some part of the world. I don't want to mention. I think you guessed. So why we don't acknowledge the other cultures? We are talking about cultures, yes. I can talk about my culture, but this is not important to me to talk about my music. Nowadays, what is important for me as an Iranian is to tell the world, why don't you stop others to put severe sanctions on our children, on our women, on our music, on our everything, on our religion? Is it because we think differently? I will quote a sentence from King Abdullah from Jordan. It says, democracy has its different different definition to every culture. It means that when we talk about democracy, we may define it in Brazil, in its Brazilian way. You may define it in the India, which is the mother of somehow the hugest democracy in the world because of the diversity. Everybody can live there. In my country, democracy has its own culture. We define it in our own way. So now I'd like to use this opportunity to tell you, gentlemen, you are professors, you are celebrities, you are, let's say, educated. 85 million Iranians, almost 3 million Afghan people that are living as refugees and migrants in my country. Hundreds of thousands of Iraqis and some other nations that are living in my country. And in this coronavirus pandemic, why don't we think about supporting the nation? It's not all politics. We have chosen to have Islamic Republic of Iran. As everybody is free to choose his or her political system. It's not just political. It's our way of life. It's our culture. So, I don't know how much time I have. How much time, sir, I have? Because I'm not...
Just 1 or 2 minutes, sir, to end your presentation, please.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'd like everybody, please, to help us, to help the world to be a better place, to promote our beautiful culture. We love your cultures. We share many things with you, and we understand a lot of things that you are enjoying. We want to enjoy it with you. Please, the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Iranian nation is a civilized country. We are modern. 60%, 64% of our students now at university are ladies. They are girls, including my daughter. My daughter is 20 years old, is third, let's say, grade, third year university, and she will be a teacher, and I'm sure that she will be a university professor in 10 years, inshallah. And what gave her this opportunity, this culture, this system? I want you, please, once more, I'm repeating it, to tell the world that we want to live on our own freely. We have done a lot. We supported the world. We were the cradle of humanity and cradle of civilization. We had a lot. We shared a lot to the world. We want to have our own chance, opportunity to be Iran. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hossein Omedi. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and ideas. I truly would like to highlight that as a Portuguese, as a European, I can truly say that we must respect one another. We must respect each country. We must respect the values, the principles, the history, the heritage, the language, the customs of each country. As a Portuguese, we have a long tradition of being able to connect with different persons, with different peoples, different regions, different countries. And our history is full of these connections with respect, with tolerance, with support. And I also think that this unfortunate COVID-19 crisis has given us a huge opportunity to unite our efforts and to leave behind our differences. Because nowadays we are living in a very difficult and strange situation. And if we don't unite, if we don't forget what our differences are, and if we don't focus on what is important, that is, for instance, education for all, knowledge for all, progress, and of course, respect the choices of each country, and using all the principles and values that connect us all as mankind. I think that we are all united with this goal. We all want the best for our future generations in each and one of our countries. So let us work together in order to go ahead with this goal, to share experiences, to share our different cultures, and to convey our thoughts to a higher ground, the ground of respect and tolerance. So thank you again, sir. And now I would like to invite our next speaker, Mr. Salim Yakub from Pakistan. Mr. Salim Yakub has completed his master in science from Virtual University of Pakistan, and his working experiences are connected with government and private schools from 2015 to the present date. So, Mr. Salim Yakub, welcome to this webinar. And now I will invite you to share your thoughts and ideas about the topic that is now being addressed by all the speakers. So welcome, sir, and feel free to begin your presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And 1 minute. I'm sorry. Hello. Are you listening me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Perfectly.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, my dear friend Renata, for telling me about this. And thank you all for your respect, for your knowledge, and for your time, and for everything. As you people know that I'm from Pakistan, and I'm a teacher. I am a professional teacher. I teach here in school, and I have great interest of getting knowledge from different countries, different people, different places, and much more. I'm a science student, but I also love to know about more about different places, countries, and different peoples. I have a great interest in these things too. So, as you know, that Pakistan is a democratic Islamic country, and it came into being in 1947. And Pakistan has a great and diverse culture. I'm sorry I didn't make any lecture, but I know all these things. I can say you. Uh, I have in my mind. I have, according to my experience, I will share great knowledge. But I didn't make that. You people shared. I didn't make that.
Don't worry,
I'm sorry
sir.
for that.
Your words are truly enough. Don't worry.
Yes, I'll take your little time. So, Pakistan is came into being in 1947, 14 August 1947, and Pakistan is having different cultures, different places having different cultures. There are four provinces, officially four, and the one is new, and they all have different cultures and different things they do. That are Punjab, uh, there is a province, Sindh, Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and Gilgit Baltistan. They all have different kind of cultures. So I would like to talk about Punjab. Punjab at first. That is uh, there is more people, and that is a diverse place. There is a province in having the big cities like Lahore and Islamabad, and also the Pakistan capital is there. That is Islamabad, and there are a lot of languages the people of Punjabi speaks, but the major language is Punjabi and Seraiki. Uh, the Punjab is also famous for its fertile soil. It makes a lot of uh, it has fertility, and it produce a lot of for Pakistan. And the clothes, mostly people of Punjab wear shalwar kameez kurta in all over Pakistan, but there they also wear shirts and pants. The weather is mostly hot there, that's why they manage that kind of things. The people of Punjabi are peaceful, loving, caring, and highly educated as compared to other places. And the education and the literacy rate is very high in Punjab as compared to other places of Pakistan. And it also has great business places and a lot of businessmen from there. The the people of Punjab also have some special festivals like Jashni Bahara, when the weather comes from winter to summer. In these days, they have a festival like Jashni Bahara. So, in the start of February, the second one I would like to discuss is Sindh. Sindh has also a great cultural history, and it is Indus Valley civilization, we can call it. And the biggest city of the Sindh is Karachi. It has much more it is, I think, the first and the highest populated country of Pakistan, and it is a great Sufi country, mystics, and it has martyrs. And the dress, if you talk about the dress of Sindh, it has Sindhi cape. That is a kind of cape that is famous there, and ajrak for men, and women there mostly use shalwar kameez and kurta. We can say that kurta, and they have also special festivals like Jashn Ladkana. Ladkana is a city in is a famous city in Sindh. So all the people of Sindhis celebrate Ladkana, Jashn Ladkana, and the food there famous is biryani. The biryani from Sindhi people are from Karachi is very famous throughout the world in Pakistan. And the Karachi is the city that is biggest, and this is also called the city of lights. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll turn on the light for a minute. I'm sorry for that. That light is turned off. So after that, I would talk about another part, that is Balochistan. The big city of Balochistan is Quetta, and it's also the Pakistan's coldest place is also there. That is Ziyarat, the coldest place where our Qaid Azam, you people know that he was living there, and he is died there, and that is famous for his dry fruits, and also famous for his great and diverse culture, and it is full of tradition and arts, known for tribes and festivals. They celebrate a festival that is called Sibi festival, and they also wear big kind of shalwar kameez, and they also wear a special kind of dress that is called kula, and they also wear a special kind of scarf that is called pasik. And now I would like to talk about Kashmir. Kashmir also, there are two parts of Kashmir. My brother from India is listening. There are two parts of Kashmir. One is with Pakistan and one is in India. The Kashmir in Pakistan, they have also a great uh, vision. Like they give great hospitality, and they have also clothing things. They their dress is peron, that is called peron, the special kind of dress that Kashmiri people wear, and they're also famous for hand embroidery, and they also celebrate a festival that is Pirchinasi, that is called Pirchinasi, and the another one is Gilgit Baltistan. That is a great and diverse culture. The people of Gilgit Baltistan are very highly educated and very good people. They wear woolen cape, pakol. There is a special kind of cape, pakol, and shalwar kameez, and they are open-minded people, and they have uh, a good taste of humanity, and they are very peaceful people, and they also celebrate many festivals. The famous festival is Nowruz festival that they celebrate there, and one is the last one, and the my place where I live, that is KPK Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and that is also a diverse culture. Peshawar is our biggest city, and we are in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. The people live. They are called Pathan. Pathan. Have you ever listened about Pathan? We are living here, and we have great history. We are mainly from Afghanistan, and mainly I'm from Swat. Swat is a place that is merged with Pakistan. That was not in Pakistan when Pakistan got freedom in 1947. The Swat was another place that has been merged in Pakistan in 1969. Later, I'm sorry. So I'm living in Swat, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. The people of our place, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, are very guest taking and having great hospitality. Uh, they give very much respect to the people. They are coming from anywhere of the world, and they are loving, peaceful people living here. South is very famous for traveling and tourism, and here in our places, the hotels are more than our houses. Less people are living in houses and more people are living in hotels, staying in hotels. That is very famous for tourism. And I would like to tell you that I also want to invite you all here. I have also a tourism company. I run that. A lot of people, tourists from international and national tourists are coming here to Swat. That is a beautiful place, but Swat is the coldest place of Pakistan also. There is very cold. The weather is very cold in January, February, and in the remaining months, the weather is good and normal. The famous dish of our place, KPK, is kebab. Kebab is a famous dish, and a lot of people are eating. That is a good and delicious dish. So this was all and everything I talked about, and now I would like to thanks to you all, and I would like to tell you that world is a global village, and we have to, and we believe that life is for once. Life is for once, so everybody have to spread love, peace throughout the world, and everybody is free to think, to talk, and it's the right of everybody that uh, to spread love and peace throughout the world, and that is a great thing. We have learned it from the pandemic. A lot of people have died. A lot of people are in hospitals. A lot of people. We have seen that if the world, if anything affects the world, we all will be affecting from that thing. Like coronavirus came everywhere in the world, so we all are affected, and this means that life is just for once, and war is not the solution for anything. uh, Peace and love we should have to spread. And I'm sorry if I didn't make a good topic, but you people can ask anything, and I would like to tell you all that I want to invite you here to my country, to Pakistan. If you ever want to make a seminar here in any college or in any university, I will serve you people, and I want to see you all as my guest, and here in my country, in my home. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Salim Yakub, for your lecture, for your presentation. Thank you for sharing so many great ideas about your great nation, Pakistan. And thank you for your kind invitation. I think we all would like to visit Pakistan one day. So thanks again for your presentation, sir. And now we are getting to the last minutes of this webinar. Time flies when we are happy and when we are sharing very good ideas with friends and colleagues. So, my dear friends and my dear colleagues, I would like to highlight some of the most important ideas and topics that were shared here today. So first of all, of course, globalization is here to stay, and we cannot fight globalization. Globalization brought us a lot of challenges and some difficulties also, but also brought us a lot of opportunities, opportunities to work together, opportunities to get together, opportunities to share ideas, best practices, and get connected in order to create networks. But of course, nowadays, I think we all understand the need to respect and value the characteristics of different countries, of different cultures, because globalization has had an effect that we weren't expecting, because globalization has indeed brought us a lot of common characteristics, but unfortunately, some of our own characteristics has cultures from different countries have been neglected. So it's time now to give a chance to all of our languages and heritage and painting and art expressions and cuisines and whatever makes us different, to not only to highlight our differences, but above all, to highlight what is most important, that is the value of culture. So we must unite in webinars like this one, in conferences, to share different points of view, to present our countries, to present different cultures. And as one of our speakers today well said, we are joined by diversity in unity. So let us unite, my dear colleagues, my dear friends, let us unite, let us work together for a higher purpose. And our higher purpose is, of course, tolerance, respect, and a common future. Our future, the future that we want to give to the next generations. So thanks again, Professor Beatrice, Professor Renata, for inviting me here. It was a huge pleasure. I would like to thank all our guests for being here with us in this webinar. It was a remarkable opportunity to share different cultures and different countries, and I hope we can meet again soon. And now I would like to invite Professor Beatrice to make the vote of thanks and, of course, to close the session. Professor Beatrice?
Okay. Today's thanks and gratitude is for the speakers for brightening this webinar. Without you, it would not be possible. The moderator for his mastery in conducting the session. My colleague Renata for her dedication and partnership. Taking a journey through globalization and the exchange of customs and cultures. We passed from Brazil with its miscegenation of cultures, customs and religion, diverse climate. With its Portuguese origins comes the diversity of cultures that provided the encounter with Thailand. The culture of Thailand incorporates cultural beliefs and indigenous characteristics, as well as regions of India and the tribes Aryans, who were nomadic people, probably hailing from Iran. Iran is the home to one of the oldest civilizations in the world, dating back to 208, 100 BC. And upon arriving in Pakistan, we find the Pakistan society is multilingual and predominantly Muslim. These are the advantages of globalization and the benefits that technology has provided to us today. I would like to thank you very much to everyone, and you are already invited to an upcoming edition of this event. Thank you one by one for your huge collaboration with this webinar, and especially for Professor Dr. Louise Cardozo, for your excellent moderation and your great insights. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. And thanks again to the organizing committee and to all our guests, our speakers. It was a huge pleasure to meet Mr. Haridas, to meet Mr. Salim, and our guest from Iran. I have already met Professor Shaishing Tan, so it's a great pleasure to meet him again, to see him again. And of course, I think we all have huge expectations for the next webinars to come. So I would like to end these final words with my warmest regards from Portugal to all our guests from all our different nations and great countries. So we are here united by culture. Let us not forget that unity is more important than differences. And this is our most important idea from today's webinar. So thanks again and see you soon.
Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
See you soon again. Yeah.
Bye.